different smells for a while that I've been admiring. Brilliant. I absolutely hated that spoiler. Replace it. He cut a bit of... Hello everybody and welcome to number 27. I'm so excited to be back with the Influenzo. It's been quite a while since I've been able to wear the hallowed PJs next to this lovely car, and it's just so nice to be able to film a video with my lovely 308. So I'm really chuffed about that. So in this video we're going to be looking at a few different things. First of all, we're going to go back a few weeks to a rain-sodden trip to sort out the tracking. Then we're going to look at the bodywork. I don't know if you'll remember when I did that terrible blunder and I dropped the car on the jack and crushed the sill. Did all that damage. That has been sorted out. So we'll see the journey to sort that, get that all done. And then we're going to look at some more mods which I have done to the steering to improve the steering on the car as well as the tracking. And then lastly, there are future plans for the Influenzo. What are those? Quite a few exciting things, so we'll talk about those as well. But now, back to that rain-sodden original trip to get the tracking done. How often is it that you see a Ferrari 308 being driven in this kind of weather? Anyway, I have no choice. I have to take it to get the tracking done, and the weather is this way today. Driving it in the rain is such a different experience that it kind of brings me back to the 80s in a way, because it's different smells, there's water leaking in. This is probably going to be a shock to you all, but I don't think the Influenzo is going to make a very good winter car. Everything works and it's keeping the windscreen demisted at the moment, which was one of my biggest worries. The tracking's been done. I actually had the toe in, toe out pretty good from the beginning, but they noticed when they were doing that I'd had some extra negative camber at the front added, but it was quite a lot on one side. It was close to 2 degrees and about 1 or less than 1 on the other. So they've sorted that out. So that's all looking great. After the pleasure of going out in the rain in the Ferrari yesterday, it's happening again today because I'm just about to drop it off. But I just wanted to show you something. You can see the tiny little box up there. Those are the blink cameras. That's one of the blink cameras that I've fitted after Pepe there was the hit and run and stuff, and I'm not going to park on that side of the road anymore anyway where it got hit, but I'm just going to park in the drive, or I found another parking space. But all the same, I thought it'd be useful to have those cameras, so they're motion detected. They're pretty good from what I've seen so far. Right, well, this is not what I wanted to be doing today. I'm hoping it makes it through. Massive lake. Whoa. Did not like that at all. Right, so I'm here, proper old-fashioned workshop. Andy's done loads of old Ferraris. There's a lovely GTB that's been sitting there for a while that I've been admiring. But the Influenzo's sitting there ready. Andy's going to do the repairs to the sill and a couple of other bits. So can't wait. So he said a couple of weeks, so we'll see after that. And welcome back to the present day and to a lovely, sorted out, completely new replaced sill. So Andy had to unpick the old sill from here, check it out. There was a little bit of rust here, but it wasn't actually very much, but he had to unpick the whole thing, replace it. He cut a bit of steel out here, repainted everything, welded it back on, and it just feels so good to just see it all looking so good again. As well as that, he's done some other bits too. So the first thing you will notice is the spoiler is no longer there on top, and I think that's just brilliant. I absolutely hated that spoiler. I think it makes the lines of the back end look just so much better. I am absolutely chuffed with that. Andy basically had to take it out and then weld up the holes and then respray these back pillars. So here, I don't think it's in any of the videos, but there was quite a big bubble on the window frame here. Luckily, it's always been painted black. I don't know if that's original or not, but it looks fine. So it was easy to get that sorted out and redo that. And Andy also tidied up these lines here from the previous paint job, which hadn't been the best. So that's great. There were a few spots where there were some bubbles. There was a large bubble in this back edge, which again he has sorted out. there was some bubbling coming along this seam here, and that's looking great. And there was a chip on the back of the little spoiler here as well. So really chuffed with that, and I think you'll agree, it just is it's just perfection. It could do with being a little bit lower. But that's about it. It's just such a good looking car. I just love it. The one thing that is left in terms of the looks is I can't make my mind up about that front dam spoiler, especially now that the little back spoiler is gone. I think they look better with the standard chin spoiler which they come with. It just works better with the design. This does help with high speed stability, however, so I'm just unsure what to do. Anyway, if any of you want to get in touch with Andy, I'll put his email address in the video description if you want any work done. He's not a full-on body shop. He has done a few Ferraris, but doesn't tend to do whole resprays, tends to do more sort of odd repair work and so on. So some of you may remember that I was looking at maybe putting the quicker steering rack in the Influenzo, but in the end I decided against that, and that's because it was going to be expensive and I didn't want it to be a real handful at parking speeds. But I have gone for a halfway house. I noticed that the later cars, the QVs, have a slightly smaller Momo wheel. I had a look online and I saw that they go for about sort of £600, something like that, but they're pretty much almost identical to another Momo I found. The only difference I could see, it's got Momo there in yellow, but the size and everything else, it's about 5mm smaller in diameter than the original wheel. And I can tell you that coupled with the other things that have been done, such as rebuilding the steering rack, putting the stiffer bushers on the steering rack, it has made a gigantic difference. The other big thing is, a few of you pointed out in the other video, and I can't believe I didn't know this, is that the wheel is actually adjustable by tilt, so you don't have to have it the way it comes in sort of bus driver style, where it's almost horizontal. It's adjustable down here. And look at it now, look at the difference with the extra spacer I've put in, plus tilting the angle. It's almost a normal driving position, coupled with this smaller steering wheel, which is also a bit thicker and stiffer. The other wheel had a bit of flex in it, and it's just transformed it. It is so much better. I honestly, it just keeps getting better, the Influenzo, and I just love it. You know, in theory, I should really sell this at some point, but I don't know if I'll be able to bring myself to do it. It just keeps improving, and that's what I love about cars, is when they give back, you know, and this is undoubtedly doing that. So going forward, I think the next projects are going to be honestly, guys, so much better than it was. It just turns really nicely, there's more feedback, it still doesn't like really slow corners, but it's so much nicer to drive. I can't get it over to you. So the last piece of the puzzle for me is I need to fix that rust at the front in the battery tray, and I've got a piece of steel from Andy that he gave me, so I will be doing that. But also it's the carbs. So it's running really well, the Influenzo, but I think that it's lacking a little bit at the top end, and I really suspect that that is due to just, you know, the carbs are old, they're worn, they haven't been sorted out, they haven't been sort of tweaked. And so the next thing is take the carbs out, sort that, maybe do the mods to the airbox as well. And then I've been speaking to Ian Tyrrell, who said he's really happy to have a look at the car once I've done that and sort of help me a bit with the setup. So we've still got to work out how that's going to be done, but we are going to do that. from the top end, it pulls really nicely. It's got loads of mid-range. It's just unrecognisable from the way it drove before. It really is. There's no comparison. It's so much nicer, so much better. The famous bus driver driving position is now banished. And I'm telling you, all these small changes have made such a massive difference to how nice this is to drive. Oh, I'm so pleased with this car. I bought it, and let's face it, there was quite a lot wrong with it. You know, nothing insurmountable, nothing major, but it really, if I think to how it drove those first few times, it was just horrid. And now, I feel like I can properly drive it. It's brilliant. I'm really, really, really chuffed. Now, this is never going to be an absolute sort of B-road bruiser, but it is definitely so much more fun than before. And if you have an old one of these, I would definitely recommend changing the wheel. I mean, the original wheel looks nicer, it looks older, it's prettier, but having something a bit more modern, and from what I can tell, the same as the QV had, makes it a much, much nicer drive. I love it. It's a joy. It's a joy to drive now. Still an old crappy car, and James May probably still wouldn't love it, but I do. Thank you all so much for watching, as always. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to my Instagram. That's the best way possible. If you want to get in touch with me, Instagram is by far the best way. Thank you, and see you for the next video.